afternoon, folks. In today's video, we're talking about the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors, and a lot to cover here. Penei Sewell get nominated for an award. We'll get into that. Al-Quadin Muhammad, should the Lions look to sign him? We'll talk about the contract and latest rumors on that. Fred Warner speaks about the Detroit Lions' Dan Campbell with St. Brown, talks about the injuries and what he thinks needs to be done for changes. Could the Lions be looking at some coaches to help out the defense? Former Lions head coach Jim Schwartz or Chuck Bagano. But before we get into today's video, if you think it's a sound and smart idea to bungee jump without a cord, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors. Sometimes being a Lions fan, you can fall flat on your face. Also, take that like button with you and let that bad boy descend. Let's get into today's Lions news and rumors. Let's jump into some good news here, and that's our own Penei Sewell getting an award. The fifth-year right tackle's PFF's overall grade 95.5 ranks third among all offensive linemen over the past 3 seasons, first amongst the right tackle in that span. PFF's Zoltan Budde wrote, while his PFF run blocking grade 95.1 is the highest by any right tackle over the past 5 years, and trails only Trent Williams in 2021 season among all offensive linemen. Congratulations on the nomination. We'll find out when the official award happens. If he gets it, that'll be Thursday, February 5 at 9 p.m. Penei Sewell, great player for the Lions, and hopefully he gets the award. I know he had a little bit of injuries this year, this whole offensive line was dealing with injuries, still performed at a high level, even when Penei Sewell was not at 100%. And this year, he was not, but still performed exceptional. Folks, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get to 300 likes in this bad boy. Look, with your help, it can happen. It pushes the video out there. That's what it's all about. The Lions have a decision on this free agent, Al-Quadin Muhammad, and Eric Woodyard. He spoke about this situation. He says, Muhammad is coming off a career-best season after making the most of his big opportunity in Detroit. The former 6th-round draft pick exceeded his one-year, $1.42 million contract, career high, 11 sacks, 25 tackles, 53 pressures in this season. However, at 30 years old, see him turn 31 this offseason, the veteran defense fan will likely command a multi-year deal that could be out of Detroit's range. He could walk in free agency, forcing the Lions to find another edge rusher to pair with Pro Bowler Aiden Hutchinson, either in the draft or via free agency. Or in my opinion, both. What would the contract look like per spot rack? A 2-year, $15.7 million deal, basically $8 million per year. Now remember, let's just keep this in mind. Who is a player that received $10 million in 1 year? Marcus Davenport. So this would be less than Marcus Davenport's first-year deal with the Lions. So a 2-year, $15.7. What the Lions looking at cap right now, but again, everything is going to change because the Lions will be messing with contracts such as Jared Goff, maybe St. Brown. That's going to reduce it. Is that something that the Lions would want to give? I think that's a fair price for Al-Quadin Muhammad, not going to lie. I don't think that's out of the price range. If he wants to get more than that, I'm not going to give a 2-year, $20 million deal. I think it's just a little bit too high. Remember, he is turning 31, and I do think some of his production, well, I like what he does, is a part of Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. So we have to keep that in mind. So I think that contract that they did is fair. Anything above that, I'm not willing to spend a little bit more. What do you guys think? Would you? Fred Warner, all-pro great linebacker, spoke to the St. Brown podcast about the Lions' injuries. And here's the conversation. We got to talk about it. St. Brown, wait, do you guys go full tackle in practice? Camp. Warner says, no. We would never do that. St. Brown, see, nah, we go full. We go live. Warner says, see, at some point, old Dan is going to come to his senses, man. Be like, listen, this ain't making nobody better, brother. We can still get our work in without bringing guys to the ground. St. Brown, every time a new player comes to our team, they look at us during practice, they can be in the locker room like, why y'all practice like that? Just like, yeah, that's all we know. Warner responds, I get the mindset that he's trying to instill in y'all. But because he is obviously saying you can't become better than tackling unless you practice tackling, right? I'm sure that's the mindset, but tackling is about getting all of the way, wrapping the guy. Thudding the guy and wrapping him. And then you just don't got to do the extra, bring him to the ground, right? Half the time, guys are just desperation, trying to get somebody on the ground where they're putting yourself in a position where you're tackling at risk, right? The improper tackling technique, but if you're doing it correctly, you can be in a position where you can tackle, be like, okay, I ain't bringing you all the way to the ground. Before we continue on, do you agree with Fred Warner? Why for yes and for no? I want to know your thoughts, because I'm going to give you mine right here. I agree halfway with Fred Warner. With the injuries, I think it's a combination of multiple factors. I do believe they're pushing the players too hard. I also believe field and turf has something to do with it. I think that pushing players too hard when they're already injured is also doing it, and drafting injured players. All of them are factors into this situation. And I agree with Fred Warner. I think they have to slow practice just a little bit. Not full on stop all the way. But I do think at some point you have to modify the way practices are occurring just a little bit. Because the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. This has been going on since they have been here. And we need to have players that are here not just in week 5, but in the playoffs. You're never going to win if you're all injured. Modifications must occur. And I think in all phases they need to occur. Now, I still want physicality in practice, but you can tone it down a little bit. Maybe one practice, or reduce it down by one practice or two of the physicality. Something, just a little bit, to modify it. Because we can't keep doing this. It's not working with the injuries. It's not. And now you can say the 49ers are always injured as well. Again, I think it's not just one thing. I do think it's a measure of multiple things. But toned down a little bit, I think is not going to be a bad operation. I don't know if they do that, but I am actually in favor of a little bit toning it down. Not all the way, just a tad bit. Kelvin Shepard, he likes a coach, because we're hearing rumors that we picked up Mike Kafka. Could they do that on defense? Kelvin Shepard likes Chuck Bagano. He's another guy who's now joined Baltimore. I told him this is when he did it. He still wish we could have told him. I would have tried to bring him to Detroit. Well, now you can, and rumors coming out that the Lions could be looking at a veteran defensive mind to help out Kelvin Shepard. And Pagano is one of those coaches that is on the list. I don't mind it at all. Bring in more minds. How can that be a net negative? It can't be a net negative. It cannot be. We need all the help we can get. And I want a good, stout, strong, rip heads off quarterback defense. Too many years we have not had a good defense. And we're going to talk about when we had a good defense. Yeah, that's coming up next, buddy. Because there's a coach available that the Lions could get. Would you get Jim Schwartz? Would you bring him to Detroit? Tom Pelissero, and we all know this, but ESPN, after the Browns informed DC Jim Schwartz this morning they were passing him over to hire Todd Monken as head coach. Schwartz is visibly upset, said goodbye in the building, told other coaches he's not coming back, source tells the insiders. I don't know what you think about Jim Schwartz as a Lions head coach. I liked his defense. I liked his defense everywhere he has been. Tennessee, Bills, Cleveland. And our last defense that was good was ran by Jim Schwartz. Now, if the Lions are looking for a defensive mind to bring into the building, why not bring in Jim Schwartz? Why not? I think this maybe an ego thing would be the reason it wouldn't occur, right? Maybe he's looking for something different. The situation with him as a head coach. But damn, he was a good defensive mind, and he is a good defensive mind. And if they're looking for any sort of help on defense with coaching, why not bring in this guy? That wide nine, that defensive line that just crushes quarterbacks, I would love to see that again. I would love to see it. It would be glorious having quarterbacks be afraid again. I don't know if this is even something that's possible, but hey, give a phone call, my opinion. That's my belief. Hey, money can sometimes destroy ego. We need help. So give me your thoughts about the latest Lions rumors and news. Adios.